Oh, wait. Let me do some push-ups. Hold on. I'm joking.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode number 5 of the Vision Cast with our guest, Dr. Saransh Kapoor, Doctor of Physical Therapy by Built by SK, also available at ProFit Deer Park, alongside Tom Riley, Frank Fenimore as well. Thank you for coming by, my friend. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I know that Tom reached out to you on very short notice, so thank you for coming by. What made, at least to me, your business and your, let's call it scenario on your social platform is that your ideology in terms of your training is more of train smart to kind of get ahead of injuries, health and wellness, all that jazz. So at least my question to you is, just to kind of get the conversation going, how do you as a pro bodybuilder, as a doctor of physical therapy, help translate to your clients with your experience to get ahead with whether it's dynamic warm-up, stretching? What's your ideology in your training style?
Yeah. So I always preach form over weight, like any day. Mm-hmm. And what I really prioritize is mobility training. And that includes, dynamic warm-ups, like you said, but also functional training, not just a bunch of bicep curls and bench presses, stuff to hit those muscles that often get neglected. Those, like a lot of clients that I see, almost everyone, big bodybuilders, whatever they are, they have very underactive glutes. Mm-hmm. All right. So how do we activate those glutes? We got to do stabilization drills, strengthening drills specifically for those glutes to get them activated. That way they can get rid of their pain, or it can translate right into their squats. So I really prioritize mobility training, but also I make sure that form is utilized over any kind of heavy weight first. Then we begin to load.
Mm-hmm. No, I know that at least from my, so I do, let's call it bodybuilding type training, I guess.
Is that what you call it?
That basic type of split, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. I've been more, as of late, incorporating more functional training, a lot of kettlebells, landmines, more core stabilization work. And just because over time, you get older, it's easier to get injuries. Those things just kind of pile up.
Right.
So that's what I've been trying to do to mitigate those issues. I know Tom's competed in the past, so he's anything bodybuilding, any type of split training, whatever it may be, hypertrophy.
Shit, I've probably been training wrong for years then. We talked about this before the podcast started, but you seem to say, I think, right, like a good message for you to your clients is that age is not a good excuse. And my answer was, I think with age comes baggage, right? Like you get injured, you don't fix it. You're busy. In Frank, in our case, we're running a business. Everyone's, family, kids. And so, like a lot of people with health issues, you neglect it, you overlook it, you don't treat it right, it becomes worse. And then you're trying to work around it, and bodybuilding training, you're trying to work through it. And so for me, I feel like I've had a lot of those where it affects your general health at some point, like can't move your shoulder, and so for me, looking at how you approach, treat it, don't put a Band-Aid on it, right? Don't use the foam roller, figure out what the issue is. And not that a foam roller is bad, but that's a Band-Aid. And I think for me, that's probably something that I've really lacked, which is why I'm excited to just kind of talk to you about some of the things that you do, because I think a lot of people that are somewhere in between the average fitness enthusiast and the bodybuilder, they don't know what to do. They don't go to a physical therapist. They don't have a certified personal trainer, and they don't really have the right form, the right approach. And if they get injured, what do? Right? They either work through it or they stop working out.
Right.
So for me, what you do is a unique service, and I'm glad it's working out at ProFit, right? So How long have you been there?
A month and a half now.
Okay. You have like your own office, your own setup?
Yep.
Okay.
I see clients in person there, and then I have my own online thing as well. But like you said, the main thing with my kind of service is getting to the root cause, right? Because I can tell you want to do foam roller or a couple stretches, and it might help temporarily, but they're not gonna get any long-term change. So I like to get to the root cause, really treat the body as a whole. So if you're coming to me with knee pain, I'm looking at the knee, but I'm also looking at the hip. I'm looking at your low back. I'm looking at your shoulder. Because I saw a guy a while ago where I came for my shoulder and he was looking at my lower back. And he told me like a whole bunch of stuff that was going on with my lower back that's causing my shoulder pain. Wow. And that like blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, there's more to this than just the specific pain.
Yeah.
Unless you're in with like a, ankle sprain or something. But
something local. Yeah.
Right. If
Tom tends to have ankle sprains
I'm
as well.
bad with the ankles.
I'm
top heavy. Yeah.
But if you've been having lower back pain for 10 years, right, not one stretch or hack or whatever is going to fix that.
And that's exactly the problem I've had.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, with my low back, my left shoulder, and my ankles, just chronic. And then the low back I know is lack of core strength, but lack of mobility. Like just I am not prepared at the hip joints and stuff for the exercises that I do. And I think a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't. They try and just work through it or work around it even.
Absolutely.
And it's like, that's not really good training.
No.
It's not good practice.
Like you said, the hips with the low back is like correlated always.
I know.
Shoulders with the neck correlated always. Upper back with the shoulder always correlated. Those stuff. If you always look at the spine, that's where you kind of find out what's really going on.
Shit, I need to make an appointment today.
So like when you're training your clients, when you're assessing them, whether it be lower back, ankle, shoulder, scapula, whatever, how do you assess it in a sense of, okay, this guy's got a shoulder issue, it's caused by he has too much scap tightness. How do you move forward with the client and making sure that they know the root of their cause, they know how to move forward? And obviously what I tend to see, I've been injured countless times.
Big softball guy here.
Softball alone.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, Nick is in the top 5 softball players on Long Island.
Wow.
This is true.
So yeah,
That's true.
All right,
Actual rankings.
Only
Yeah.
for people
His
between
batting-
29 and 31
Yeah.
that only DH on Thursday nights.
His batting
That's where
average
he's
is
the top
950.
Actually,
Nice.
yeah. But anyway, so when you're assessing those injuries and you're trying to obviously do right by your, let's call it, customer and clients, how do you make sure that they continue their PT and exercises, or is it more of like, hey, we're going to treat this, find the root cause, and then it's fixed?
Right. The first thing I always tell everyone is that it's not as bad as they think, because what they usually hear from like traditional doctors is like, okay, this is really bad. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop doing this, or else it's going to get worse. I tell them we're going to work around this and figure out how to still move, because if you just stop working out or stop doing something, likely it's going to get worse. And that's what most research shows now. Movement is good. We
Yeah,
need
you can't stop blood flow.
Yeah.
That's a big
Exactly.
mistake. Big
Motion
mistake.
is lotion. That's what we
You
always
go,
say.
you go
That's
downhill really fast if you
good.
stop.
Yeah, motion is lotion. So we gotta.
I'm going to put that in an ad.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
exactly. And then in terms of treating it, we get to the root cause. We identify what's working, what's not, and it's the human body, right? No one has the exact answer of what is going on. Like we get to pretty much as best as we can, and that's what I help them understand. Like if you go to another PT, they might tell you something else. If you go to another PT, they might tell you something else. I'm going to tell you what I see. I'm going to tell you what to do. We're going to check in a couple weeks. If it's working, it's working. If it's not, we readjust. It's trial and error for a lot of it, but that's just the nature of the human body.
Exactly.
Right.
Is there a common injury or complaint area, amongst the fitness community, like that they shoulder is a big issue, or lower back, or
Those two right there.
So
Lower back
so
and
those are the two
shoulders
big-
are
so-
the biggest ones.
gotcha.
He knew the answer.
Even
to that before he
personally
asked.
speaking, before I was a PT, my shoulder, my lower back, that's why I became a PT, is because I hurt my shoulder and I was going to PT for it. That's honestly one of the biggest areas we're lifting, because we're always pushing, right? We're doing overhead pressing, bench pressing, and with
Right.
the lower back, we're squatting, deadlifting, all this stuff that's putting a lot of load on the spine, and we're not doing the proper stabilization drills to manage that load.
And typically, how long of a program do you set up for somebody if they come in with, let's say, a lower back issue? Is it obviously case by case and how bad it is?
It depends. Generally, most things 8 to 12 weeks. And it's not 8 to 12 weeks, okay, you're pain-free fully. It's 8 to 12 weeks, okay, you've learned what to do, how to assess your body, what's working, what's not working, and then adjust from there and progress from there.
Gotcha.
Some people need longer, some people need shorter, but it really depends.
Probably depends on their level of fitness and health anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and how fast they can recover on their own.
So those two words were like the biggest in PT school. It depends, because no one had a black and white answer for anything. It was there was a lot of gray
though.
area.
So true in life.
It's the human body, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's funny. 'cause
And
we were talking about
everybody's different.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we were talking about before the podcast started, and relating it to supplements or diet and nutrition, really any of these areas, right? Like it depends. What is your diet like?
Right.
What's the best product for this? It depends. Like, what are you taking already? What are your health issues? What are your health goals? What are your fitness goals? And I feel like people, they ask us those kind of questions. We get inbox a lot of stuff, DMs, people asking about this product or that product. Will it do this? Will it do that? I mean, especially for like our hormonal stuff or even our recovery stuff. And it's really it depends. What else are you taking? How are you training? How old are you? What do you lift? How much do you weigh?
Right.
And so that's like a big gap that like the end consumer and the average fitness person doesn't really get. Everyone wants a black and white answer. Unfortunately, there's not one. But if you can explain in a way, these are the different options and why, or in your case, treatments, then at least people understand the different paths they can take. Right?
Figure out what works for you.
100%. 100%. And so let me ask you this. We briefly touched upon it before the podcast, but so how did you come across the brand anyway? So I know you work at Profit, right?
Yeah.
And you've been training there. And I was excited because I had just seen you like story about the brand or something, which I was super grateful about. But how did you even come across us?
Yeah. So first I saw you on Instagram.
Good job, Nick.
And then at the same time, during that time, I was taking whey, but it was just messing with my stomach, like regular whey protein. I don't remember the brand, but and then I saw whey isolate. I'm like, oh, what's this about? It doesn't have the lactase enzyme. And at the time, I was transitioning from like a dairy diet to no dairy.
Yeah.
So I went no dairy, and I'm like, I could still take this because it doesn't have the lactase. So I tried it, and the taste absolutely was amazing. And then it didn't mess with my stomach whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the protein, and
And that's so interesting, right? So like from our perspective, we get a lot of people that one of the main reasons they use Protolite is because we have the added panel of digestive enzymes, right? It's not really who's got a better whey protein. Listen, most of them are the same. Whey protein isolate 90 is standard. It's just what farm did you buy from? For us, it's, you want to make sure you have quality material, but in our product, and probably a lot like you in your approach to training and fixing people's issues, it's a custom approach. And we said, okay, well, what can we do to make whey protein different and better and improved for solving an issue, solving a need? And to me, two of the biggest needs in that whey protein area are digestion, right? Because how many people have IBS, gastrointestinal issues, right? And so we said, okay, let's back up and say, we're going to make a protein. We know it's a big category. We know people consume it, but we got to solve a problem, right? And then we can market that. Right. And so for me, it was digestion and recovery. People take amino acids, people take electrolytes, people drink Gatorade, so many different things for recovery. Said, okay, let's take electrolytes, and we actually use some of the world's most famous electrolytes that are used in IV bags, and we put those in the proteins. We said, okay, we have enzymes solving digestion, we have electrolytes solving recovery. Now we have a product that can kind of stand on its own, right? If a person tries it, I'm locked in. They're not leaving. And it's because we're solving an issue, but we're solving it from the point of treating a need, right? Like figuring out what it is the problem, and here's how we fix it, right? Because people would say they're better as a personal trainer, they're better as a physical therapist, they have a better product.
Right.
What really, though?
And I must say, that's the only company that I've seen mix vanilla and peanut butter together, and it's my favorite flavor ever.
That's awesome.
The best flavor I've ever tasted.
That flavor is a sleeper for us.
Yeah, that was one of our first flavors, right?
Yeah, vanilla peanut. It was weird. We actually didn't make a straight vanilla when we started.
Okay.
We wanted to be like a little different, and so working with the manufacturer we used at the time, and they actually suggested doing peanut butter flavored stuff. And I'm like, what about vanilla peanut butter? There's only one other brand doing it, and it's been a total sleeper for us. We might actually launch that flavor in our gainer. It's that popular. But yeah, uniqueness, right?
Yeah.
So solving a problem, solving a need, in your case, treating an issue. And servicing the customer with something that actually works.
I think the biggest thing for me is just seeing the progression of our Perlite over the years, and the customer base. Like it's so many loyal customers. It just had issues just like you did, and we solved the problem with the digestion piece, and not having terrible stomach pains. And also focusing on flavors and making sure we have good flavors that are consistently tasting the same. Because you can have a lot of proteins out there where they can have a chocolate peanut butter on one run. On the next run, they do it again, and it tastes different. So obviously, it's real important for us to make a high quality product, or protein in this case, and always have consistency when it comes to taste.
Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking, not to cut you off, sorry. Speaking of progression, to take kind of like a little left turn here, we had Dr. Mike Camp on.
Love Dr.
Who
Mike.
does all my PT, all my injuries. It's the only guy I go to. And he's become world famous in how he progresses his clients, whether it's Sadiq or your normal, run-of-the-mill, physique bodybuilder, whatever.
Did I tell you he treated my daughter's knee sprain over the phone?
No.
A story for another time, but yeah. Good dude.
He's really that good.
Good dude.
But I know he has a specific style in which he handles, whether it's a baseball player, a bodybuilder, whomever it may be. So I'm curious as to you and your style and your training, how do you progress your clients?
So I focus more so on time under tension. So in terms of eccentric loading, isometric training, stuff like that, where you're really controlling the movement, slowing down, pausing reps. That's my kind of philosophy. That's what's worked for me for years and years. And it forces you to use not as heavy weight. So it takes the ego out of it. Forces you to have better form. It forces you to build a better mind-muscle connection because you're slowing down the movements. You're really feeling the
Like
contractions.
negatives, things like that?
Exactly. Negatives, holding reps.
You believe in pause reps? That's a big thing. Like,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. To an
I've tried
extent.
it over time. So I'm not against it. I'm just, some guys are so into pause reps and
Like dead
love
stop?
yeah.
Okay.
Like a dead stop hold,
Yeah.
like mid set, and I think a mid rep rather. I think there's value. It depends on the exercise and stuff, I guess. But I'm always interested. There's some people that just brush it off, and there's other people that are just like,
I get gassed when I do those.
No, I
Every
love
time.
it. And mostly eccentric is like my kind of go-to. It was funny. I was working out with my friend the other day. And he's like, "You're the eccentric king," and I don't notice it, that like my like negatives are a lot slower than most people, but I don't notice it now because it's just natural. But I think that's what's really helped me and helps my clients really build muscle to sustain, but also build a true mind-muscle connection.
I know from an eccentric standpoint, I know I watched a video of Mike O'Hearn doing incline barbell bench with like 495 reverse grip.
dude, is an animal. I saw that video.
Eccentric, bro. He's doing like a 5-second negative and just it's not like a
Right.
dude. The dude fires
The
up.
reverse grip is what got me. Huh?
It's
That's
on. The guy's
mind-blowing.
a freak.
Yeah.
It's really he's like what 59, 60 years
He's
old.
crazy.
No,
He's
he
a
can't
beast.
be that old.
Look him up.
No, I think he's early 50s.
I watched an
He's
interview with
pretty
him.
old.
He eats like 10 meals a day, and
Yeah.
they're the same exact meals for the last like 20 years.
But that's a guy that like started training at the age of 9. Whatever outside stuff you want to think
Right.
about him, he started training. Let's call it 15 years old, and the guy lives and breathes weight training.
It's crazy.
Like he genuine human being too, just a really good dude. But that's a guy that's just in terms of eccentric stuff. Like if you ever want to like, that's the Bible. Just go watch a video of Mike O'Hearn doing anything.
Yeah.
And you will get a quick lesson on how to lift correctly.
Yeah,
He's a freak. He really is.
yeah, he's another animal.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but he's a good dude. He's a good dude. You know, the one thing I wanted to ask you, so we're talking about whey protein and we're talking about digestion, and that's sort of how your entryway into VMI and choosing Protolite for yourself. And I'm just glad you found it and liked it. But I remember you told me earlier, you know, you tried even a pea protein and a plant-based protein. What I find interesting, and even to me, you're in our business. You're not really in the industry, but you're in the health and fitness business, right? And so you try to, I don't speak for you, but you try to pea protein. Really wasn't successful either. Did you have stomach issues as well?
Stomach issues. Also, it was like not the amount of protein you get in it is not. It's not worth the cost, right?
It's expensive for
like-
you feel like you're getting
And
less.
there's a shit ton of carbs in there, and like it's just a whole bunch.
So
of stuff.
that's the interesting thing is people, the consumer doesn't know, and I'm so desperate to like tell people the little things that they can learn that are just so easy if they were able to read the label and understand the label. It's not the pea protein. I'm not against pea protein. We don't make a pea protein. The difference is what else is in it. It could be organic, natural, whatever stamp you want to put on it. It might have hydrogenated oils,
Right.
corn syrup. It could be organic corn syrup. You really want that? And then people don't understand. I had an issue with, my whey protein. Did it have enzymes? Did it have creamers in it? I had an issue with my pea protein too. I can't take any protein. What else was in it? And so it's explaining to people, listen, we sell products, but I want to provide knowledge. I want to help people. And if I can tell people, hey, this is what the problem is. You need to read the label, understand what the digestive issue is. There's a solve for that. But there's so much of it is commercialized, and people buy a lot of crap. But then they think it's the whey protein. It's the pea protein. I can't take protein at all. It's everything else that was in it.
I think though overall, as the industry and fitness evolves, people are definitely getting more educated, right? Opposed to 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So it's certainly moving in the right direction, but not fast enough.
Slowly, but definitely progression. But it's interesting to me when I talk to people like you that are in the space, so to speak, right? And it's hard to identify, well, what was the thing? And I probably have I have low back pain.
Right.
Maybe it's my shoulder, maybe vice versa. But it's like, man, there's so much information and stuff available. And that's part of our push behind the brand and with Protolite in general is like educating people that there's a solve. You can take whey protein. We did figure it out for you. This is not going to bother your stomach. It will digest well.
Right.
And that's kind of our message. Is always like we're trying to help people. And sell product while we're doing it, but stuff that's going to really help people. Like, treating whatever the problem they're having is. They're not recovering fast enough. They don't have enough energy, whatever. And Protolite's certainly our lead product in doing that because it solved the big issue, which is digestion. And we don't put the creamers, the hydrogenated oils. We just don't add the crap. And that's been a big value for us is being premium. We're a little bit more expensive, but hey, there's no crap in it.
Well worth it.
Yeah, you get what you pay for, man.
I swear by it.
You get what you pay for. You really do.
Sure.
And it's probably like that with training too, and physical therapy. You get what you pay for.
So just to switch gears here a little bit, I know you just started at ProFit, or your office. You moved over there. What's your plan? Like, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to see your business? Is there a certain area of business that you want to focus on more than others? Love to hear that and kind of.
Yeah, so I definitely want to continue my competitive bodybuilding kind of path as well, and it kind of goes in with my business because I want to cater more towards bodybuilders and lifters, just because I know how neglected they can be with certain kinds of stabilization training, mobility training. The same thing with me before I was a PT. I wasn't doing any of that kind of stuff, and then once I did become a PT, I noticed the amount of difference there was in my training and my recovery, and just everything in life. So that's really the plan. Continue that path. Continue my business, growing that. Cater more so towards bodybuilders and weightlifters.
That's your niche.
That's my niche, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. And if you're in the niche, it's even better because you understand exactly where you come from.
You've done a great job so far. So congratulations on all your success.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It's exciting, man. It's exciting to have somebody local. Obviously, we have Dr. Mike, but we like finding people with different perspectives and in areas that relate to our business and where we can relate to their business. I definitely need to book an appointment.
For sure.
I told Dr. Mike that too. I probably need to see both of you. That's how many injuries I have. No, but it's exciting, man. It really is. Let me ask you this. So as a physical therapist, as a personal trainer, do you get a lot of questions outside of your wheelhouse, like about supplementation or nutrition and I don't want to say out of your wheelhouse, but that's not your,
Always.
You get a lot of that?
Yeah. I mean, I've done a few kind of nutrition coaching. I don't really like doing much more anymore just because most people don't follow it. Yeah. And, if I can write you a meal plan, you're not 2 weeks, maybe you'll follow it. It's not sustainable. So most people just need advice more than an actual plan to follow. Like eat more protein or eat this versus that.
General direction.
Yeah, general direction. And I found that the less you give to clients, the longer they will follow.
Isn't that interesting? Little tidbits.
Keep it simple, stupid, right?
Exactly. So when I've given like a whole plan to follow and it's completely different than their normal day-to-day habits, they're not gonna follow. It's
like information overload. It's overwhelming.
Exactly. So I've learned to just say less and offer just general advice and see how they do, and if they can stay consistent with that, then we'll kind of build up.
It's interesting you say that because at least from my experience, I mean, we all have friends who are professional bodybuilders, but at least what I find is that percentage of person in the gym is so meticulous that you would think that the more you give, hey, this is meal 1 through 6, this is your fasted cardio, this is your supplementation protocol, this is what you got to do every single day. You would think that the headset would be like, oh, this is easy. It's literally a to-do list that I have to do every single day. But I genuinely find it interesting that it's like, oh, just hey, maybe switch from whey isolate to salmon protein, something along those lines, beef isolate, whatever it may be. I just genuinely find it interesting that it's the latter. Like you wouldn't expect people to do more with less rather than a fully written plan.
Right. I mean, if you're talking like a competitive bodybuilder, they will follow exactly what you do. But if you're talking like general population or someone who's just, had bad eating habits for their entire life, less is more.
Yeah. No, I totally agree there. The professional bodybuilders, I mean, those guys are so disciplined. It's ridiculous. And, we've obviously worked with a couple of them in the workspace, and man, they can hit that microwave, 5 or 10 times a day, and they'll hit that at the same exact time every single day. It's amazing. Right. I would say to them, hey, could you make that sales call the same time as well? Right. But no, I mean, overall, definitely big respect to all the guys that, compete. It's hard. I don't know how they do it. You got to be extremely dedicated and
Discipline.
discipline.
It's a lot. My last prep was 10 weeks, no alcohol, no dairy, no yeast, literally nothing. It was just eat the same exact food every single day for 10 weeks straight.
Who is it that said you got to eat like a dog? I forgot who it was. But essentially, you have to eat the same thing every day, like dog food.
Exactly.
That's why I'm
Probably
not
tastes
a
better than
bodybuilder,
dog
yeah.
food, but yeah.
Just, honestly, who knows? Ground chicken and rice and broccoli every
You
day.
get used to it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy pizza.
I don't
so.
mind eating the same meal every day. If I can find a meal I like, I don't.
It's different when
as long as you have sauce.
Yeah, I need
it's
sauce.
different when you
Pig
do it
sauce.
for
Hot
almost
sauce, anything. I need sauce.
2.5 months with like no cheat meal. Then it's like, all right, I need something.
Yeah.
But I had a brick wall like 5 weeks in, and I had to had a refeed cheat kind of day.
Yeah.
Because it's just not sustainable.
What'd you have?
I had like rice cakes, peanut butter, just like stuff away from my typical
Oh,
diet.
I thought you were gonna
I
tell
didn't
me like a
no.
chicken roll or
I didn't go,
he's too disciplined.
I didn't go
like
crazy
a,
because my coach
you know.
would have killed me. But
Gotcha.
I just kind of needed like extra carbs.
Calories.
Gotcha,
yeah.
Yeah, and it felt good.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you assess whether it's you or your clients to say, hey, is it more of just a mental thing where it's like, all right, I need like what I call diet breaks, where that you're still hitting your macronutrient intake, but it's essentially different sources away from chicken and rice. You know what, today I'm going to have sweet potatoes and ground beef.
Yeah.
Is it that kind of day, or is it like, hey, go to Five Guys, get a cheeseburger, no salt on the fries, Diet Coke?
It really depends, honestly, and how much of an extreme diet you're doing. Because if you're in like a 200 calorie deficit a day, you should be fine without having to kind of need a diet break every 2 weeks. But if you're in like 1,000 calorie deficit, like some competitors are, you need to schedule diet breaks or refeeds.
Have to.
You
It's
have
not
to.
sustainable.
Yeah,
Do
and
you
that's
fi-
what I learned.
Do you find a lot of people just haven't taken the time to learn their bodies in terms of their metabolism, or have taken the time to really, let's call it, rev it up in terms of the small portion meals throughout the day? Or is it more of just bad eating habits that you see?
Bad eating habits,
Yeah,
for
that's what I
sure.
thought.
Seems like everybody.
It's eating
Crazy.
Yeah.
healthy Monday through Friday, and then it's like, all right, binge Saturday, Sunday.
That's
And
the big-
I've been there too. Like sometimes I still do it. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
It's hard because you're like, I was good Monday to Friday. I could just do whatever the hell I want. But
good.
a lot of times you set yourself back.
Oh, yeah.
So it's bad eating
Well,
habits.
just
for sure.
from the caloric intake throughout the week, let's say you're eating, I don't know, 2,500 calories a day, and then you have a burger that's the equivalent to 9,000 calories. You literally negated a whole week of work. That's the one thing that, if I've done personal training in the past, that I've kind of really stressed a point. Just make it 3 weeks, and it'll become a habit.
Right.
Because if you go
Yeah,
5-6 days, like killing it, crushing it, being consistent, which is the number one rule besides just getting your nutrition pat in general. Don't crash diet on the weekend.
But it's discipline.
really
It's
not-
discipline, man. It's
Yeah.
the general population doesn't have that, and that's a big disadvantage for people. But it's like people can't go 2 or 3 weeks without alcohol, let alone a cheat meal.
Yeah.
It's it's just a different mentality. That's why.
70%
Yeah,
Nation's obese.
I like when Nick
Yeah.
said that was making it a habit. Once you get there, then you're not even thinking about it. You're not. It's not on your mind. So I that was a real good
It's
point.
the same thing with the gym. Like a lot of people, like when you get addicted to it, you have a harder time taking a rest day. That's how
Yes.
you know you're in the
Big
right
problem
path.
for
Same
me.
here. It's harder to take
Yeah.
a rest day. Same thing with the nutrition. It should feel almost like worse to eat, go off your diet on a Tuesday afternoon.
The guilt is real.
Exactly. And-
Seriously, I feel so guilty.
I know, and also that's like another like part where it can like mess up, just that that mental aspect
And a
with
negative
food.
aspect, too.
right?
Not even just
No,
from like
absolutely.
you feel like shit. Like if, for instance, I had a hot dog at Yankee Stadium 2 weeks ago, I still feel bad about it.
Exactly.
I'm being serious because
Mentally and physically.
yes, I feel like shit because the entire
How much was that hot dog?
free actually. Legend Suites, Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
I highly recommend. But anyway, no, you're being so consistent, and I think it's like I don't know what the exact number is. It's like 21 days to build a habit, and then like 2 months to build a different lifestyle. So if you continuously do that, and again, like Tom said, it's a real discipline thing. But again, I think that really varies, just like everything else we've spoken about today, varies upon the person. And everybody has different tolerances and different, let's call it, capacities in terms to do the same thing every fucking day. That's why I'm a big proponent of, and this is just me, I'm a big macro flexible dieting guy. Like I can swap out carbs for sweet potatoes. I can do steak and ground beef. I can't do meals 1 through 7, avocado, rice, broccoli, I can't. It's not sustainable whatsoever. Unless you're a
Same.
professional bodybuilder and your lifestyle is contingent on you winning the fucking Arnold Classic, by all means, knock yourself out. I'm not fucking doing that.
Right. Same here.
Absolutely.
Unless I'm competing for unless I'm getting ready for
if
a
you're on
show,
prep, yeah.
then it's strict. And that I'm not even like checking my macros. I just let my coach handle it.
Yeah.
But if I'm off season alley, I'm flexible.
That's the one thing I would say that I actually prefer though, is that like if you're competing, let's call it, I would just rather be like, all right, like just tell me what to eat this week. Like I'd rather, instead of going to MyFitnessPal, great, I got it.
Messes with your head too.
Oh my
You're
God.
like, oh, 40 carbs.
Shit, I'm
Yeah.
up 1 pound today.
If you don't know, you don't know.
yeah.
It's better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, shit. When I competed, it was so long ago. I had to weigh everything and write it down with a pencil and a piece of paper. I was adding shit up. There was no apps at the time. There was
Guy does that too. So like,
it was old school.
Yeah, so
it was a pain in the ass. I hated it.
even till this day, Guy has a notebook of like the Marvel notebooks of every like diet that he's ever done, every prep or whatever.
pretty cool.
He doesn't plug anything in. He just like, okay, meal 1, this was at 7. I've been over his house and be like, hey, what time did we eat today? Like, oh, okay, steak and potatoes at 8 p.m. or whatever. And honestly, it's
old school.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody has their different styles. I'm on MyFitnessPal. I think that's the app, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's what I plug in every single day. That's how I know what I'm eating, and it helps me. For instance, like if I go to a Yankee game, I'm like, all right, let me just plug in the fucking cheeseburger, and just like I know what I could eat for the rest of the day in terms of my calorie intake, which helps. And also it counts your steps too, so you can kind of also offset things.
You'd probably be shredded if you didn't go to Yankee games.
Oh my God, I can't.
Now
stop.
that I think
won't
about it.
stop. Actually, I will not stop. But
I mean, there was a big win last night. The Mets took them out, huh?
yeah, I know. Everybody gets lucky, but
Yeah, sure.
it is what it is.
SK, when's your next show? What are you planning on doing?
November 5th.
Wow.
Cool. And what
Yeah.
show is that?
That's gonna be OCB in Alabama. It's gonna be my first pro show.
Nice.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Very exciting.
Yeah,
Excited,
excited.
nervous.
Yeah, both.
Anxious.
I start prep in September right after Labor Day, so it'll be good.
What class are you in?
9 week prep. Bodybuilding.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Awesome. Wow. Very excited for you. That should be good.
If there's anything we can do to help you with that journey, we would love to.
I appreciate
man.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I think we're pretty much wrapped up here. Dude, thank you so much for coming by on
course.
short notice. I really appreciate everything. So
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Of course,
man.
thank you for having me.
SK,
This was
you're the
great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Pleasure meeting you.
All right,
Nice
that's a
meeting
wrap,
you.
boys.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light, no way, I'm coming back home.